Senators, are we back in our seats? Can we? Did I turn it off? Okay, there we go. Thank you, Senators. We're now going to proceed. This is Thursday, January 18th, and we're going to proceed to 4 bill hearings. And I think we have the lovely Miss Grant with us again. So would you come to the table, please? It's Health Department Week.
It is. It's a pleasure to be here, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, committee members.
So we're going to do the bills in numerical order, I believe. So,
Okay.
I got to make sure. Is this the ones? That's the voting list. Okay. Bill number 1 is the State Board of Occupational Therapy Practice Sunset Extension.
Okay. Thank you all. Marie Grant on behalf of the Maryland Department of Health. It's great to be here. This is a repeat of testimony from Tuesday with one exception on a later bill. We're here to support the extension of the Senate Bill 239, the State Board of Occupational Therapy Practice for 3 years to mid-2028, and urge a favorable report and happy to answer any questions.
Do you have any questions for Ms. Grant?
That's 3 years.
3 years. We have Robin Elliott is here and Dan Martin. Thank you. We'll hear testimony from Robin and Dan.
Good afternoon. I'm Robin Elliott, and I have worked with the Maryland Occupational Therapy Association for about 15 years now. We're here in complete support of course, extending the life of the board. It does magnificent work. We are asking for an amendment for it to be extended 10 years. I realized we just heard the Secretary and Marie talking about being consistent with 3 years. Just wanted to give some background as to why we're asking for 10 years. I have been working in this area a long time and am aware that the board has 2 prior sunset reviews. And the way that it used to work before you changed it is DLS would do what's called a preliminary review and then make a recommendation whether or not there needed to be a full-fledged review. And then the Legislative Policy Committee would usually meet in October, and they would vote on those recommendations. So for the prior 2 preliminary sunset reviews, this is going way back, 2001 and 2012, both times Legislative Services recommended to waive the full review, and the Legislative Policy Committee agreed with it. So basically they have a squeaky clean record. All the OTs feel that the board is very efficient, very effective, and very mindful of their role to protect the public. And so given all that, we would ask for consideration of looking at 10 years instead of 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Elliott. And Dan?
Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, and honorable senators of the committee, thank you very much for having me. My name is Dr. Daniel Martin. I am the chairman of the Maryland Board of Occupational Therapy Practice, and I'm very humbled to appear before you today in support of Senate Bill 239. I've had the honor and privilege of serving this board for almost a decade now. And, with the expert direction of Lauren Murray, the executive director, Joanne Lane, our deputy director, Denise Getz, our compliance director, and our board counsel, Joshua Fraser, our board currently licenses over 5,000 occupational therapy professionals. And, these statutes and regulations that we uphold since roughly 1979 allows only the most diligent and knowledgeable practitioners to provide critical rehab services to our Maryland public. And such, the primary interest of our board is to protect the public. And our board has worked very tirelessly since our previous sunset review in 2012, 2013-ish, to identify, investigate, sanction, and even so far as remove any bad actors that would practice contrary to our established practice guidelines. Our board, since our last review, has implemented FBI background checking for all new applicants and renewing licensees. Our board disciplinary committee is currently staffed with only experts in occupational therapy who have experience with compliance investigations on a professional level, consumer members, and our compliance director. And our board even conducts internal research processes on sanctioning to make sure that everything that we do is firm, fair, and consistent. So our board works very tirelessly and has been since our previous review to protect the public from real and potential harm. The passing of Senate Bill 239 would allow Maryland public to continue to benefit from the expertise and compassion of the most qualified professionals in occupational therapy. It would also allow our board to remain on the cutting edge of protecting the Maryland public from those who would use the goodwill of our profession's holistic rehab philosophy as means to harm the most vulnerable among us. So on behalf of the Maryland board, I also respectfully request that we extend our board's existence for another 10 years so we can continue serving the Maryland public in the capacity that we do. Thank you, Madam Chair, for your consideration.
Thank you, Dr. Martin. Do I have any questions for this panel? All right, well, thank you very much. We'll give that consideration.
Thank you.
Next, we're going to have Senate Bill 240, the State Board of Examiners in Optometry, and it again is Ms. Grant and Marcy Lerner. She'll come up. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, committee members. Marie Grant on behalf of the Maryland Department of Health. Again, this is a sunset extension for 3 years to the middle of 2028, and we urge a favorable report. Thank you.
All right. Hi, I'm Dr. Marcy Lerner, board member. I'm also on the secretary of our board and on our legislative committee and our disciplinary review committee, a very small board, like you said. We would also like to favorably request that we stay alive at least until July 2028, preferably longer, but we're in favor of the board staying around so that we can continue to credential, license, discipline as needed the optometrists in the state of Maryland and protect the public health.
Thank you, Dr. Lerner. We had some testimony earlier that some of these boards are really small. Is this one of the small boards?
Yeah, I would say so.
Can you tell me how many members?
There's 5 members. Currently, we have 3 optometrists, 2 consumer members.
Thank you.
And about 1,000 optometrists right now in Maryland.
That doesn't sound like very many.
No, we need more.
Thank you. Do you have any other questions for this panel? No? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we have Senate Bill 243, the State Board of Professional Counselors and Therapists Behavior Analyst Advisory Committee. And we have Ms. Grant and Mary Drotleff. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, committee members. This is the one time today I'll say something different. This sunset extension is actually for the Behavior Analyst Advisory Committee that is part of the State Board of Professional Counselors and Therapists. Because it is a committee of a board that's currently scheduled to sunset in 2026, and they don't have extension legislation this year. What this bill would do is align the committee sunset extension with the overall extension of the professional board. And so that date is in 2026. So would urge a favorable report. And that's the reason there's a difference in this one and how we're treating it.
So Ms. Grant, currently they would expire in 2026
Yeah.
and the bill confirms 2026?
Yes, well, so the bill, this is a committee that's part of a board. The board doesn't have legislation before you this year about it sunset because they're scheduled for 26. But this committee of the board is scheduled to expire in 2024. So this
Right,
just
so
moves it 2
2024.
years to 26 to
Right.
align with that full board.
Thank you for that explanation.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, and committee. Thank you very much for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you all today. My name is Nikki Drotloff. I'm a licensed clinical marriage and family therapist in the state, and I am presently the acting executive director for the Board of Professional Counselors and Therapists. The board is in support of extending the Behavioral Analyst Advisory Committee so that their sunset coincides with the sunset of the full board. Currently licensed behavioral analysts comprise about 10% of our total licensees, and they are a very integral part. They do things that none of the rest of us really do. So when discipline matters come up, it is very important to engage them, and they're very willing to help give their expertise when there are matters of discipline. So the board is respectfully asking that you all give a favorable report. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Do I have any questions for this panel? No, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And the very last bill of the day is the State Board of Physical Therapy Examiners. And we have Ms. Grant and Engin Wolford and Julio Carrera, if you'd like to come up. And it is Senate Bill 257. Oh, they're virtual. I'm sorry.
Hello.
Thank- Good afternoon, Madam Chair, committee members. I'll go back to saying the same things. 3-year extension, 2028, urge a favorable report. Thank you.
Is this Ms. Carrera, Julio Carrera?
This is Engin Wolford.
And Jean, thank you. You're welcome to start your testimony.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair Vital, and members of the Finance Committee. My name is Engin Wolford, and I am the Physical Therapist Assistant Board Member for the State Board of Physical Therapy Examiners, as well as the Chair of the Legislation and Regulation Committee. On behalf of the Board of Directors, we appreciate the opportunity to express our support for Sunset Extension Bill 257 being amended to July 1st, 2028. Historically, the sunset extension for the Board of Physical Therapy Examiners has been set at 10 years, notably longer than the national average of 5 years for similar jurisdictions. In response to the request of the new administration in 2023, a 2-year sunset extension was implemented effective until July 1st, 2025. Approval of Senate Bill 257 is crucial to ensure the continuity of the board's mission dedicated to upholding the Maryland Physical Therapy Act that effectively safeguards the health, safety, and welfare of individuals, and importantly, due to this mission, attracting a physical therapy workforce to Maryland. Since its establishment in 1947, the Board of Physical Therapy Examiners consistently adheres to its legislative intent. Demonstrating operational efficiency, the board successfully manages its responsibilities without experiencing licensing or investigation backlogs. Furthermore, the board maintains a balanced budget, engages in activities that are not duplicated by any other state board or agency, and excels in its overarching mandate to protect the public. The OLA auditors have never recommended sunsetting the board and never separately named the Board of Physical Therapy Examiners in their January 2021 report findings. This underscores the board's commitment to excellence and compliance with established standards. The board proactively conducts operational self-assessments. The results reports are continued operational success, as evidenced by the MDHISC auditor's documented January 5th, 2023 report that the Board of Physical Therapy Examiners satisfactorily completed and met the OLA's findings and recommendations. The Office of Constituent Services confirmed that in fiscal year 2023, no complaints were received about the Board of Physical Therapy Examiners, attesting to its effective and responsive governance. As an independent and self-funded board, we express our gratitude to the committee for their consideration and respectfully submit request a favorable outcome for Senate Bill 257. Your support is vital in ensuring the continued success and impact of the Board of Physical Therapy Examiners in fulfilling its critical role in protecting the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wolford. And then finally, we have Julio Carrera.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As Ms. Wolford stated previously, we're in support of the department's recommendation of 3 years. We believe that those 3 years would allow us to continue to streamline processes and improve the services that we provide to the public. But most importantly, it would allow us to protect the public throughout the state of Maryland. So I hope that we have a favorable outcome of SB 257. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Do I have any questions from any members of the committee? No, thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
So this concludes our hearings, and I think our committee manager needs a couple minutes and she'll switch over to our voting session. So you have a couple minutes again. Thank you. Don't go anywhere. Thank you.